الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وكشف الرحمن بالغيب وبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إن إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهم لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينكدون إني ذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومهم من بعده من جند من السماء وما من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم قامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يعطيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها هبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا شريك لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مركدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون. ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لسقناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نؤمره النقص في الخلق أفلا يأكلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون. وظللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يعقلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو كسيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم. قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. الفاتحة.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। चलते ना के से गिराया खुद को जलती रेत पर। चलते ना के से गिराया खुद को لاش تک آئی حسین، بس میں گھبرائی تھی خنجر تجھ پہ چلتا دیکھ کر، بس میں گھبرائی تھی خنجر تجھ پہ چلتا دیکھ کر، پھر کسی مشکل میں گر کر میں نہ گھبرائی حسین، کون تھا جو مرنے والوں میں نہیں تھا خوبرو، کون تھا جو مرنے والوں میں نہیں تھا خوبرو، بھولنے بیٹی تو کس کس کی نہ یاد آئی حسین، بہہ رہا تھا آنکھ سے آنسو تیری رخصت کے وقت، بہہ رہے تھے آنکھ سے آنسو تیری رخصت کے وقت، پھر کوئی آنسو نہ ٹپکا آنکھ پتھرائے حسین، ہاتھ میں کوزے لیے سب آسماں تکتے رہے، ہاتھ میں کوزے لیے سب آسماں تکتے رہے، ابر نے ایک بوند پانی کی نہ برسائی حسین، آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین، صلوات علی محمد وعلی محمد۔
آواز بلندتر صلوات۔ میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے، بنت علی نے مجھ کو چادر بنا لیا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ کرتی ہے رشک مجھ پر کوثر کے بھی کنارے، زینب کے سر میں نے ہے 2 سال ہیں گزارے، میرا ہر ایک ذرہ، ارے میرا ہر ایک ذرہ ہر ظلم کا گواہ ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ اکبر جوان قاسم غازی سے چاند تارے، زین العبان میری آغوش میں اتارے، یعنی لہو نبی کا مجھ میں ملا ہوا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ روتی ہوں یاد کر کے وہ بے بسی کا منظر، ہے مولا چھپا رہے تھے مجھ میں وہ لاش غیب اصغر، ہاں اس دن سے آج تک نہ مجھ کو سکون ملا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ شہدائے کربلا کے زخموں کو میں نے چوما، زہرا کی بیٹیوں کے قدموں کو میں نے چوما، اس واسطے ہی میری ہے تاثیر میں شفا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ اکبر کی لاش پر جب شاب شبیر جا رہے تھے، اٹھتے تھے بیٹھتے تھے اور لڑکھڑا رہے تھے، منظر وہ ابھی میری ہے آنکھوں میں پھر رہا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ اے زائرین مولا، چلنا ذرا سنبھل کر، ہے قرآن فاطمہ کا بکھرا ہوا ہے مجھ پر، نہ جانے کس جگہ پر، ہے نہ جانے کس جگہ پر، کس کا لہو گرا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ توقیر تو بھی کر لے، آل ابا کا ماتم، جو شام میں گئی تھی، ہے اس بیردا کا ماتم، ممنون ماتمی کی ہے مقدومہ فاطمہ ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ بنت علی نے مجھ کو چادر بنا لیا ہے، میں خاک کربلا ہوں، رتبہ میرا جدا ہے۔ صلوات۔ الفاتحہ۔
Let's all recite 5 times, I am mujibal, for all those who are in need of du'as here and all around the world. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سورة المباركة الفاتحة. Let's all welcome Sayyid Shara with a loud صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
محمد عجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أفضل الذكر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين محمد اللهم صل وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا مولاي، يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. ما خاب من تمسك بكم سادتي، فنفوز فوزا عظيما. سيدي إن لم يجبك بدني عند استغاثتك، أو لساني عند استنصارك، فقد أجابك قلبي وبصري وسمعي. لبيك داعي الله، لبيك يا أبا عبد الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، فاصبر صبرا جميلا. آمنا بالله. A second salawat in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. A third for the Ta'jili Faraji Maulana Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman with your loudest of voices salawat. My dear, beloved, respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Your logic tells you that which you don't know must be something pursued if it is in your interest. And you understand that in life, there are many things in your interest that you don't quite understand yet. And if you understand, eventually, you will reach a point and conclusion that I must pursue those who are people of knowledge. Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And the Quran doesn't need to tell you this, as it is in the nature of the human being to seek from those who have learned. They've sacrificed. That's why in our theology, they reach a status, they are called mujtahids. They've exerted jihad. Ilm is a type of jihad at the end of the day. You struggled, you've strived. And the first of these maraji' can come across as someone, when you've hit your mental maturity, you've embraced them as the taqleed. Marja', muqallid, taqleed. This idea to have something that your neck is within. We call a necklace galada in the Arabic language. Why? Because my sensitive part of my body, from my neck and up, is in your hands at the end of the day, because I don't know what God expects from me. So I'm going based off of what you advise me. But the thing is, I trust you because I've seen that in logic and in the Quran, this is the right way to do things. If I don't know where it comes to with my body and my health, I have to ask a doctor. Logically, it makes sense. Therefore, spiritually, it makes even sense as well. The first of these maraji', however, wasn't that grand scholar. May Allah bless and prolong all of their lives when you've hit mental maturity, spiritual maturity. The first marja' taqleed was your mom and dad. When you did taqleed, you did it in the sense of, I don't know anything in life, but I know they know everything. And you venerated your parents when you were little, you actually believed they were Superman or Superwoman. That, do you know my dad? He could actually do this and that. You know that your parents, nothing is stopping them. They are beacons of strength, of power, and for us, many younger children, of money as well. Anything I want, it's at their disposal. I can't get whatever I want because he said no. It's like the power to my freedom was in their hands and I have to obey. Why? It just makes sense. This is something instilled Allah inside of us, and we should appreciate this, that the first marja' was Baba and Mama. They may have white on their head, but they have gold in their heart because they want your best interest in mind. And tonight, we often can look into the days of shahadat and mournings and martyrdoms by looking at who we honor, say Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. But the beautiful thing is Sayyida Zainab, when she tells you and I and shows her stances and becomes the example that she is a product from the marja'iyya that she followed, i.e. her mom and her dad. Her own name itself tells you, I am a muqallid of my father. Zainab means what? Zinat abiha. The zina. Zina means adornment. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. O you who believe, take the adornments to the house of Allah. Beautify the house of Allah. This is a place where the dhikr of Ar-Rahman happens. Let it not be a place where it looks unbefitting. Beautify it. خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ. Zina, zina, zina. That's what it was called. Make beauty, zina. Al-malu wal-banun, zinatul hayat ad-dunya. In another ayah, a big family and wealth, they are adornments of life. We may not subscribe to the worldview that says wealth is the root of all evil. If it's used in halal, it's the root of all khair and barakah. If it's done in halal, and if it's done in halal, Allah calls it zina. It's beauty. Sayyida Zainab says, I am zinat abiha, her own ab and father. Lady Zainab alayhi salam, she may not be considered among the 14 hujaj ma'sumin, but she definitely set the bar for what it means to be the standard to the ma'sumin. If you wanted to understand them, you go to their students. Don't at times think you can comprehend the teacher without first seeing who graduated from their school of thought as well. Ma'suma qum, Zainab, Abbas, these individuals, I don't need to see them in a list of 14 or 12 to say, hey, I can't or can benefit from you. They are the fruit and the product of those 14 and 12, who are the fruit and the product, rather the culmination of 124,000 Anbiya, bridged by Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. In this concept, I'd like to share some light as to Lady Zainab's source of strength. It comes from Allah, definitely. But like you and I, it can come from Allah, but it comes through the tawfiq that Allah gives you and I through our parents. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was teaching Sayyida Zainab alayha salam when at the age of around 2, the hadith says, this is recorded in the Wasa'il of a Shia, wal-Hurr al-Amili. He begins to teach her. Number one, you already begin to notice that a father has that beautiful interaction with his daughter, where he's sitting with his daughter and he doesn't feel it's beneath him to humble himself and look at his own baby girl and say, I am just as involved in your life as your mother is. Because culturally, we've done that. Sometimes in Iraqi culture, the daughter is the mom's concern, the boy is the dad's concern. La, not in the culture of Ahlul Bayt. And in their worldview, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen sits with her and he says, Baba, say 1. He's teaching her counting. She says 1. Wahid. He then says, Baba, say 2. She says, Wahid. She begins to repeat number 1. He says, Habibti, say 2. She says, Wahid. He says, why are you doing that? I know you know how to say 2. She replies, I want you to observe the following response of a 2-year-old Zainab al-Kubra. She says, Baba, how can I say 2 with the tongue that said 1? Showcasing her love for the oneness of Allah, for the one true haqq and reality. That there's only one path to Allah. It's called as-sirat, not al-sirat with the plural. Sirat is one. Sirat al-mustaqim. There's only one way to God, and that's through the thaqalain, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. Ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tadillu ba'di abada. And Allah calls it The Prophet calls it hablun mamdud. It is a rope brought down from the heavens. The more you embrace these, the more you will remain firm and fixed on the path of God Almighty. How can I say two with a tongue that said one? Already you have a moment where a father doesn't mind sitting with his baby girl, with his baby daughter, where he sees that, look, I have to put the seeds, let them grow, let them flourish. Hence, on the 10th of Muharram, she's only a beacon of strength, where they would say that her walk reminds us of the walk of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Just her walk, her walk. And imagine if you took the lessons of your own father, whereby your own walk reminds people of them, then what about the sermons that you begin to share? Well, no surprise, if your dad's Nahjul Balagha, then I'm sure Balagha is all you're going to see when she speaks. And that's what happens when she humbles the biggest coward in existence, Ibn Ziyad. Because a coward sits back and makes orders. A leader is in the front and makes the orders. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen would not lay back and say, go there, go there. He would stand in front and he would go with his people because he leads. That's what it means to be a leader, to lead ahead. Bin Ziyad created the biggest carnage and he's miles away in Kufa. The biggest loser is Yazid. He's hundreds of miles away, not knowing he has just instituted the biggest la'na campaign on history upon himself until the day of judgment. That's the biggest loser. Sayyida Zainab humbles and humiliates him, uses her balagha that she gained from who? Not just from her father. Did you forget the balagha of her mother? I encourage all of you to read Al-Khutbah Al-Fadakiyya of Sayyida Zahra alayhi salam. The most legendary, fiery, and epic sermon you will ever see that is intertwined with theology, with history. She begins to remind those who have usurped her rights that, did you forget where you were before my father came and guided you? You would eat grass unclothed, and he brought you through a renaissance of ilm, and this is how you treat his family? Look at the knowledge, look at the jur'ah, the austere nature, the audacity of this lady who just a few years back, ladies, were seen as second-hand citizens, unable to have a voice. Look at her voice, a beacon of wisdom and knowledge. You think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I don't think the apple even left the tree. It's like Sayyida Zahra and Imam Ali are manifested in her. Zainab al-Kubra, Zinat Abiha, knowledge unmatched, strength where she never gave up hope. And the biggest statement that showcases that today her path was true is that no child in this room today, no child here cannot tell you her famous maxim when she is confronted about how she thinks, how she sees what God has done to her family. Everyone, I've seen non-Muslims say this, by the way. It's a powerful speech. It's a speech in a sentence. It's a library in a couple of words. It's hope, faith, resilience, resistance in a couple of lines. مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. She says that with the most scholarly reply you can ever imagine. Scholarly, why? Because it's after that event. Do you remember what Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam said to her? He says, Amma, anti alima, غير معلمة, وفهمة غير مفهمة. Oh my beloved aunt, a Ma'soom tells you this, you are learned without anyone needing to teach you anything. And you are understanding, scholarly, scholastic, without any scholar having to bring you through the phases of knowledge and study and research. You understand all of these dimensions, for you are the manifestation of Ali and Fatima. That one line is enough for you and I to know we're on the right path. Find another line like this. Why I say scholarly, these aren't just exaggerations. Every letter was picked perfectly. Every letter. Ma, not la, ra'aytu, not wajadtu, illa, not hatta, jamila, not jamala. If you just pause, you examine. She says jamil, she could have said jamal. It means the same exact thing. At times, context could be a little bit different. But if she switched it and used jamal instead of jamil, it could have meant the same thing. But what's particular about her is that the Prophet of Islam described Allah in one characteristic when it came to beauty. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa ala, Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. There's a difference. Jamil is the noun, is a thing. He loves the adjective beauty. God is beautiful and loves beauty. So what did she say? Ma ra'aytu illa jamala. In the hadith of the Prophet is Allah is Jameel and He loves Jamal. So Sayyida Zainab is not talking about I saw beautiful things. She's saying in another word, I saw nothing but Allah. Because Allah is Jameel. One of the names of Allah, Ma ra'aytu illa Allah Azza wa Jal. Jalla Jalaluhu wa taqaddasat asma'uhu. You asked, what do I think of what God has done? If you say it's God, then God is beautiful. All I saw was God. Do you know what this means? What does this mean significantly and historically? It means that she is the best, biggest student of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. She is the greatest disciple, the best pupil of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. How? Because Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, he's the one who said, I see nothing except that I see Allah before it, after it, and in it. Ma ra'aytu shay'an illa wa ra'aytu Allah qablahu, before it, ba'dahu, after it, wa fihi, and in it. So to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, everything he sees is Allah. To Sayyida Zainab, everything she sees is Allah. Categorizing it as Jamal. That's the biggest student of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. The greatest of them are Sayyid al-Shuhada. But Sayyid al-Shuhada is an Imam Ma'soom, Muftarad al-Ta'a, Ma'soomun, Hujjat Allah ala khalqih. You can say a student, but Ahlul Bayt don't need to be taught. They're picked by Allah from day one. Khalasna, end of story. In other worldviews, yes. Prophets, in other worldviews, not in our worldview. Prophets need to go through a developmentary phase where they may have started off as infallible to a minimal degree, but then they elevated in ranks. That's not our worldview. We believe from the cradle is not even the starting point. Allah had already preordained that this will be the guide to the 21st century. This will be the prophet to the 7th century Arabian Peninsula. This baby will speak in his cradle. قَالَ إِنِّي أَنَا عَبْدُ اللَّهِ آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابِ. There's no development, let's learn this, none of that. In other worldviews, the prophet needs to have his heart washed off. You can see these in literature that say the prophet didn't know, he was dhal, and they can use ayat like أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى. Did he not find you misguided, then guided you? Hasha. Did you forget there's synonymity in this bloody language? Euphemism doesn't exist. Metaphors, you just forgot about that? ضَالًا can mean misguided. يُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ. You want to call Rasulullah misguided? ضَال. Allah could be referring to the people of society. And Allah could say this in a metaphorical manner. And when Allah uses ayat like لِيَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِن ذَنْبِكَ وَتَأَخَّرَ, that God will forgive from you the sins you've done in your past and the sins you'll do in the future. Of course, if you come from a worldview where you take things literally, then you're not going to understand this except the Prophet sins. But we don't come from a literalistic worldview. In academia, it's called fundamentalism, where you take word by word and you reject any form of interpretation. That's the problem when you just take the Quran and you neglect the Ahlul Bayt. And the Prophet said, I leave two things, ya Habibi, not one. If you have one without the other, you're not going to understand. You're not going to comprehend. It needs to be in this order. And the thiqlul akbar is the Quran, the book of Allah. It's God's words manifested. You have to have these in order. If you ignore one and have the other, you're going to have a perverted understanding of theology. The Prophet sins, God becomes angry for no reason, that God decides to guide whoever He wants to guide. Some might even be victims of this today, but I thought that's what the ayah says. يهدي الله من يشاء ويضل من يشاء. عجيب, Allah يضل? الضلال? Allah يضل? What's going on then? Oh, forget this. Forget me trying to get better. It's your choice at the end of the day. لا عيني. عيني means my eyes. It's an endearing word in Arabic. No. يُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءَ الضَّلَالِ. Whoever wants to be guided, God will allow hidayah to be their way. And whoever wants misguidance, God won't force you. What's this called in modern philosophy? Free will and predestination. Done. End of story. But if you come from a worldview where you don't have Ja'far al-Sadiq to do the tafsir for you, yes, you're going to end up with the Ash'ari worldview that says, predestination. Whether you like it or not, God wanted you to burn in hell. There is nothing you could have done about it. If you died a sinner, what's the point then? It literally removes, it devoids you, strips you of any hope. Yeah, technically it's your choice. You know how depressing that is, by the way? That's extremely depressing spiritually. Where it's like, no matter what I do, technically you decided at the end of the day how my end is like. That's not what we are told in the school of Ahlul Bayt. Why? These ayat are in reference to whoever wants guidance, Allah will give him guidance. And whoever wants to be misguided, Allah will give him the opportunity to be misguided, because God gave you free will and He loves that you choose to follow Him rather than Him having you forced to follow Him. Because angels worship Allah effortlessly. We have to worship Allah with effort. What is more valuable? That you put in effort, or that you just got it handed because you were born to the right people in the right place at the right time, and the president and the dean of the university is your uncle, so he's like, that's my nephew, I have to give him the degree now. But he didn't do anything. He didn't put anything about he's a doctor. What kind of doctor is that? That's a bogus, preposterous conclusion. Here's your conclusion. Without any effort, you win. That's not valuable. That's why perhaps God puts you and I through these trials. These trials are not meant to be punishments. And if they are punishments and disciplines, you should be thankful that Allah decides to bring about the disciplinary process in the dunya before the akhirah. Because God gives you multiple phases. If you get yourself punished today, that means He just spared you from the punishment of the qabr. You don't want the punishment of the qabr. Alhamdulillah, here than there. And even this punishment of the dunya could have been avoided with just astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayh. That's it. And even then, the malaika, Allah says, if my servant decides to do anything good, by the fact they decided, give them the ajr that they did it. And if they actually succeeded, give them the ajr as if they've done it 10 times. This is the hadith of Nabi Adam alayhi salam. That, oh Adam, yes, you're coming down to earth, but I'll give you a head start. Anytime you do a good, al-a'mal bin niyat. Amal, your good actions were within your intentions. If you intended on coming to the masjid out of your own control, something stopped. I was supposed to fly tomorrow, and I had a lecture at the university. There was a blizzard that has postponed my flight. I said, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I'm not going to come on time. But I got the ajr for giving the lecture, I hope so, just because I had the niyyah. And so did you guys. They're like Sayyida. We like the ajr, but we really would have liked to have the program. Yeah, you can always postpone it. And لَعَلَّهُ خَيْرٌ. Maybe if we went, something bad on the way could have happened. You don't know. SubhanAllah, God has time. He's the owner of time. He's the owner of space. God saw in the future, this is not in your interest. I will make a blizzard and then you don't go, so that you are not harmed. Why? Because my ibad are close to me and I am closer to them than their own jugular vein. I will want what's in their interest. And even if su' hits us, it's khair, because He spared us from the grave su'. And from the grave, if He doesn't punish you there, oh man, the punishment kicks in barzakh. And if it doesn't happen there, Ya Allah, punishment is waiting for me in Qiyamah. And if it doesn't happen there, then Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. Even then, God says, Khalidina fiha illa ma sha Allah. And there are those who will be punished in that hell just until enough, or until when God decides that's enough. And there are those, yes, these are the people that, no need to mention political names, you all know them very well, they're bloodthirsty barbarians, who abada, that there's no return for them. Look how many opportunities God gives us, so that, look, let me expedite this, let me expiate this, let's get rid of the sin. You didn't bother doing it, I'll do it for you because I love you. Don't ever think of Allah as bringing challenges in your life as He's hating you. Wallah, He loves you so much. And that's the jamal that we are meant to see taught by this lady. Because, Ya Allah, even if it was painful, it meant you were getting rid of things that may have not been in our interest. It meant that you were also testing us. If you find challenges, I wish my younger brothers and sisters remember this one, because many people go through challenges in school, in relationships, healthy relationships, in business endeavors, in all these issues in life, health. Like, Ya Allah, why me? Two reasons. Either Allah's cleaning you of something, like, you know what, we'll remove this. The hadith says, there's a beautiful hadith, that if a mu'min has the common cold, hadith calls it al-humma. Humma is a migraine. If you have a common cold migraine flu, the amount of ajr, thawab, meaning good deeds and blessings, that you will receive for doing what? Nothing, just having a cold and tolerating it, on the day of judgment will make you wish that you will never ever have gotten better. There will be those on the day of judgment who will be doing sajdat al-shukr, bowing down, and will feel ashamed to lift their heads up because of how grateful they're, like, Ya Allah, that cold got me that much ajr, why did I even get healed? That's just a cold. Now imagine all the other hurdles, pitfalls, obstacles in your life. Number one, either God is cleaning something, or number two, you're doing a great job. The tests you're passing. Then naturally, like any good teacher, the tests have to get a bit more challenging. You would never say that to your professor, but we're too quick to judge God. Why did you bring this on my life? You know I can't handle this. Number one, you can, because la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. God will not impose on you a burden more than you can handle. So if you find yourself facing something difficult, always remember you can actually handle this, because God promised it. Even if you're between Fir'aun and the sea, and there's nowhere to go, don't be surprised if God splits it for you. Just have tawakkul. Allah, nothing's impossible. One of my favorite quotes, by this 50s actress, Audrey Hepburn. Don't say impossible. Even the word impossible has I'm possible written inside it. These are good reminders. Why not? Always remember that if it seems impossible, and if it's something that's a direct result of God, then it's not impossible. God will never impose on you something that you can't handle. He's cleaning something from you, or He's making sure that naturally you keep passing these exams. I have to up the game a bit for you, because you're a mu'min, and a mu'min has to get trials. You know, there's no free pass. Allah, إِذَا أَحَبَّ عَبْدًا ابْتَلَى. That if Allah loves, not likes, loves a servant, He brings ibtala. Ibtala, the etymology, what does it remind you of? Bala, trial, masa'ib. If He loves you, He's going to bring this to you. Like, why? Isn't that the opposite of what you do for someone who you love? As a child, that's what you think. As an adult, you realize, no, sometimes we need bala in our lives. We need bala. I need to hit the gym and hurt my mood temporarily, because that temporary bala helps me feel a little bit better. I need to struggle the night shift, because that mental bala helps me at the end of the day pay my bills. There's a bala. Why is that evil necessarily? It really isn't. And if it comes, it's a form of cleansing. And if it's there, it's showing me that I'm passing these tests. So that just makes sense. And this is found in the Holy Quran. Musa alayhi salam comes back from Mount Sinai. He promised them 30 days. You know the whole incident. Promises them 30 days. God decides to add 10. Last minute change. Musa, what did Musa tell them though? 30. Day 31 happens. They're like, where is this guy? He said 30. So is his prophethood not legitimate? But you just saw the Red Sea split, but that's still not enough. What about day 32? Day 33? Day 34, there's this man, the biggest entrepreneur, a Samiri, comes and he's like, I'm going to make capitalism on this. Let's go. Creates this calf made of mud. Women, give me some of your jewelry and your gold and apply it onto the golden calf. He's so clever. Sometimes your enemies are clever. You got to give them credit where credit is due, these mala'in. He built it acoustically, whereby it has holes. So whenever wind comes around it, it makes like a noise. Have you ever blown into like an empty cartridge or a carton of milk? There's like a deep noise to it, okay? So he thought of that. Musa comes down, he's like, your feet haven't even dried from walking across the Red Sea that I split miraculously, and you bow down to a calf? He goes to Harun, angry, mad. What's the deal here? You couldn't do this? You couldn't handle it? He says, Al-Qawm mustada'afuni. They were outnumbering of me. And they united on this. What was I? I'm one man. I'm just one man. What can I do? I can fight them, but that's not right. So then he goes to Allah. Kalimullah, Assalamu alayka ya waritha Musa, Kalim, talks directly to the heavens. Heavens, what gives? The calf, Samari built it. Oh, that's okay, I get it. But the wind, because the thing happened when As-Samiri, this guy, this entrepreneur, decided to say, bow down to it, Ya Bani Israel. And they're like, who do you think we are? أَتَتَّخِذُونَ هُزَوًا? Think we're foolish? We know that this is a joke. We're just waiting for our guy to come down. He said, yeah, but it's been day 38. You guys need a God. Here's this, worship this. He demanded them to bow down. They refused. Then the wind came. These aren't just elementary Islamic school 101, just for nice story, bro, and move on. There's wisdom to why Allah preserves these in the Quran. The wind came. Remember the way He built it with holes? It made a loud noise. As soon as they heard the noise, boom, they did sujood. Like, Ya Allah, the calf, He built it. But the wind is in your hands. Yeah, somebody sent the wind to. That's not true. You, Ya Allah, if you didn't want them to bow down to the calf, you could have technically not done the bloody wind. Why, Ya Rabbil Alameen? Allah replied, Ya Musa, they were being tested. If you were told, this was the first test, to bow down to the calf, would you bow down to it? They all passed and said no. What about if it starts to make noise? Would you bow down? They all failed, except a couple. The hadith says, and if they even passed that exam, where when the test got, do you see how it gets harder? When the test became more difficult, it started making noise. If they had passed that, I would have made it walk. And the test needs to get harder. That's just life. That's the system of Allah. That's just logic. If you have a student and they're constantly A pluses, well, there's a madrasa here, I understand, and all the kids here have A pluses, right? All the A pluses. That's why the teachers, I invite you, make the tests harder. Make them extremely hard, yeah? Because you have bright students. Some of the kids are like, I'm never coming back again. But these students, they're doing good. When a student does good, you're going to give them back alif ba ta tha when they're on, mashallah, poetry to the highest proportions? No, that doesn't make any sense. You have to make it harder. That's just life. I notice you have a weak spot on your left hand when you play tennis. As a coach, I'm going to aim at your right hand? No, I need you to improve. You don't blame your teacher, but why did you make this harder? Well, I mean, did you forget you graduated preschool last year? Or 10 years ago? Well, you're in high school now. It has to get harder. It's in your interest that it gets harder. Personal trainer, why are you adding more weights to the thing? MashaAllah, you got better though. You want me to remove weights? That's not. In all of these examples, observe the following, I'd like your attention. In all of these examples, you find that silly, asinine. How on earth could you complain about that? It just makes sense. But with God, we're so quick to judge. Why'd you make it harder? What did you forget? Everything else, it made sense. It must become more challenging for the sake of development and progress. When it comes to your spirituality, you want it easy? Easy is for those that ختم الله على قلوبهم فأنساهم ذكر الله. That's what ayat say clearly. May Allah never make us those who Allah has, and for a lack of better words, forgotten them. Not forget as in they're not in His radar anymore. No, they are. But Allah will treat them. Look, this is how you avoid being these people. Ready? Allah will treat them the way they treated Allah. You forgot Him, Allah will forget you. And not forget you as in He won't remember you. The beautiful thing is that's still Allah, and He still loves you. But His door is always open. He still lets you have a breath. He still lets you have a heartbeat. He still lets you wake up at night, even though you disobey Him every single day. Not anyone here, by the way. I'm talking about those who are tyrants, oppressors, actors of injustice. These individuals, look how the Lord still has left the door wide open for them. Every cell in their body, there are quadrillions of cells in each human being's body, subhanAllah. Every cell is saying, La ilaha illallah. His nafs is the only thing that says, no Allah. Everything testifies to Allah. يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ الْمَلِكِ الْقُدُّوسِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَكِيمِ. Everything testifies to Allah. يَوْمَ تُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيَهُمْ وَأَرْجُلَهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. That the day will come, their hands will testify. Why? Because they said, أَشْهَدُ أَن لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ عَلِيٌّ وَلِيُّ اللَّهِ. His nafs said, nope. That nafs is what gets punished, not these poor hands. It's a ni'mah, it's an amana from Rabbil Alameen. The test got harder because you got stronger. And on every level and metric of life, you never find that illogical. With God, we make it so complicated. Did we forget that Al-Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, in Karbala himself, 5-year-old boy, has the most profound narration where he summarizes this entire philosophical ordeal. He says, I'll end it, the debate. مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِ. We've said this hadith before, I believe. The example of the believer, mu'min, not Muslim. There's a difference. If you're bare bone minimum Muslim, inshallah, may Allah bless you and guide you and continue to give you. But that's bare bone minimum. Look how Rahman Allah is. It's amazing. Because He says in the Quran, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُؤْمِنُونَ or Muslimun. Muslimun. I just want you to be Muslim. If you're just a Muslim, you'll get into Jannah. Inshallah. But you know what? I want you to get to the 7th one. Or 7 Jinan. Imagine getting into a Jannah and you never see any member of Ahlul Bayt. What kind of Jannah is that? Just be a Muslim. That's it. And by the way, this opens another discussion, and I don't want to detour there. Those who are non-Muslims, God keeps doors open. And what do you know? In those last minutes, God dispatches agents of His, those last nanoseconds, whereby they may have lived like Muslims. And if they found Islam presented to them properly, they would have seriously embraced it. But maybe we've done a bad job. When they turned on that TV, they didn't see the proper representation of Islam. But if they got the chance, they would have embraced it. Hadith says, for those people, God will give them the chance, testify just before you leave. Oh, by the way, don't think you're safe though sometimes. Doesn't mean that you're a Muslim and you're good. Daesh calls itself Muslim. Well, they go to Jannah. And someone who's so upright, philanthropic, charitable, Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahi an Munkar, he just doesn't go to Hajj, doesn't do Zakat, Khums, Salah, because it wasn't presented to him properly. They go to hell. And this one who just claims to be Muslim, but their akhlaq is the akhlaq of Yazid and Muawiyah, they go to Jannah. Malik al-Maut comes, Shaitan comes, and will look at both individuals. I've already opened this hadith discussion, but let's observe it. That a believer who's struggling by their own negligence, Allah won't hurt you on that final critical moment. The hadith says, they experience, this is in the Quran, sakarat al-maut, the intoxications of death. Sakaran means drunk. Sakarat al-maut seems to indicate that in these critical last moments, there is a drunkenness to this individual, an intoxication. Shaitan comes. What does he want? He wants one more go at you. One more go at you. No, don't leave just now. Got one more shot. Even in that final moment, even in the deathbed, yeah, he's going to give it one more chance. What does he do? The intoxications, hadith says, is like a deep thirst. You've all felt the thirst. Salamullah alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And Shaitan approaches and says, would you like some water? He's holding in his hand a cup of water. That tradition says it's cool that you could see the condensation outside of it. So now you're very enticed. But don't forget, Shaitan is Dajjal. He brings close what is far, far what is close, makes good what is bad, and bad what is good. So this isn't really what you want. And he'll say to them, if you want, I'll give you, I just have one demand. What? Typically those final moments you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, may we all say that. He will tell you, say, kafartu billah, ukfur billah, and I'll give you this water. Those who are weak-hearted will say, bil'ayadu billah, wa'a'udhu billah, kafartu, give me the water. And he'll just pour it right in front. Spill it. Misguide, that's Shaitan. For the believer, yani basically the whole Allentown community, inshallah. For the believer, what happens? Malik al-Maut comes in the most upright and beautiful state, and will actually ask them. The hadith says, would you like to go? Or are there some final things you want to finish? A debt outstanding, someone you want to say bye to. That happens for the upright individuals, not just for someone who knew what was expected and still said, you know, I'll still sleep in even though it's Fajr. I don't care. My sleep is more important. Upright mu'min says, I'm waking up, I have salah. What is this? 85 years I lived, 95 years. And there were days I skipped because I just wanted to, I can sleep again. Just pray and come back to sleep. Up for that individual, not just Malik al-Maut in the upright appearance. Muhammad and al-Muhammad visit them. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim. Imam Ali alayhi salam is asked, will the believers see you before they leave? He says, they will see me the way they believed me. Which some ulama say could mean that even the disbeliever will see Imam Amir al-Mu'minin, the one who hated him, and the way they hated him. You reap what you sow. And we pray. And if you visit Sayyid al-Shuhada will visit you. These are Ahlul Bayt. Their karama and generosity is sky high. And is it not from the etiquette of the person you visit that they have to visit you back if you guys are near each other? That if you give them a gift, that you have to give them back. It's just an unspoken rule of adab and akhlaq. You think all these years you've been saying, Assalamu alayka, ya Aba Abdullah. He won't say, wa alayka assalam. When you go and do his ziyarah, he won't do your ziyarah. They'll visit you in those moments. Fatimat al-Zahra alayhi salam will hold your hand. Amir al-Mu'mineen, you'll hold your other hand, and they'll make this journey so beautiful. The hadith says, that transition, that naz'ah, that transition of the soul leaving the body, for the kafir and the oppressor, it's the most excruciating experience. For the mu'min, it's like taking off dirty old clothes and putting on fresh, clean new ones, where it's a sense of relaxation. Finally, Ya Allah. Remember those who have left you? Sometimes it hurts when you think they might have suffered before they left. Rather, Allah gave them ease and khair. Why? All of you guys all are families that love Ahlul Bayt. You think they, even though you loved Ahlul Bayt, despite that love, they're going to let you just suffer? Ahlul Bayt, did you forget who they are? Ahlul Bayt al-Karama. When one of them is called Kareem al-Muhammad, Imam al-Mujtaba, he's not going to pay you a visit. Fatimat al-Zahra, you cried in her majlis, she's not going to come and see you? You gave all of that for Sayyida Shah. 10th of Muharram, you never missed it. When you had no masjid, you made an opportunity and you found an alternative. How much did you love them? They're not going to care about you in your final moments? Wallahi al-azim, they will. They promised it. وَأَوْفُوا بِالْأَحْدِ إِنَّ الْأَحْدَ كَانَ مَسْئُولًا. And if the Quran says, stay on your promises, surely promises will be those which you are responsible for. Ahlul Bayt, they are the most responsible. And they are the most careful for their Shia. And they love their Shia. And that is why on a night like tonight, we remember one of the biggest lovers to the members of Ahlul Bayt, Lady Zainab alayha salam. She, so much effort was put in just maintaining the kids from crying. That's it. Have you traveled with children? You know how difficult just to travel to somewhere nice, how difficult that is? This one's tired. This one is hungry. Imagine the journey after seeing your father martyred. Imagine the struggle from Karbala to Kufa. And imagine the only one who's capable of watching after them is Zainab alayhi salam. That's why Abu Abdullah brings her, Sayyida Zainab, not from just Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham, Sham and back to Kufa, then back from Karbala all the way to Medina. All of that is on her. And we, the Shia, we feel that we've done for them a lot. Tonight, where is Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam? Who is she surrounded with? Lovers of Ahlul Bayt. Let's not even go that direction. Ya Zainab, it was back then in front of Yazid and Ibn Ziyad and Umar ibn Sa'ad. And today you're in front of some people whose names are literally Yazid, Ibn Ziyad and Umar ibn Sa'ad. And we are here. But that's fine. Why? Because the same Yazid bin Ziyad and bin Sa'ad that you humbled and put to shame, who are these people? We've seen this movie before, Ya Sayyidati, and we know its end. when Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam returns back to Medina al-Munawwara. With her, Imam Zain al-Abidin, with her, some of the few members of the family. Imam Zain al-Abidin makes it to a man by the name of Bishr ibn Hadlam, who would report the news to the people of Medina just before the family enters Medina al-Munawwara. Imam Zain al-Abidin says to him, Ya Bishr, tell the people of Medina what happened in Karbala. Oh Bishr, tell them what happened to Aba Abdullah. Tell them what happened to my auntie Zainab and all of us. As Bishr ibn Hadlam returns to Medina, he begins to say the line, Ya Ahla Yathrib la muqama lakum biha, qutila al-Husayn bi Karbala. الجسم منه بكربلاء مدرج والرأس منه على القناة يدار. O people of Yathrib, there is no place for you anymore. For Hussein's body lay on the floor, and his head paraded from city to city, taken away. And for him my tears, I shed them away. As he enters Medina, a crowd surrounds him. One lady comes to him holding her grandson by the name of Al-Fadl, the son of Abbas. He says to her, lady, how can I help? She says, tell me about Aba Abdullah. He says, first tell me who you are. They say to him, Ya Bishr, how did you not recognize al-Baneen? This is the wife of Ali. This is almost like the mom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. She says, Bishr, tell me about Aba Abdullah. He then says to her, عظم الله لك الأجر يا أم البنين باستشهاد ولدك جعفر. May Allah reward you, al-Baneen, on the death and martyrdom of your son Ja'far. She is al-Baneen al-Arba'a. She gave 4 sons. Of course, she only wants to hear about what happened to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. She says, tell me about Aba Abdullah. May my son Ja'far be ransomed him. He says, عظم الله لك الأجر باستشهاد ولدك عبد الله. She says, no, tell me about Aba Abdullah. That's my son. One son after the other. And then he says to her, al-Baneen, I'm sorry to tell you, your son Abbas was martyred in Karbala. But he wasn't martyred just like anyone else. al-Baneen, he lost his right eye, he lost his right hand and his left hand, and he never drank water. She drops the baby out of shock. She says, you broke my heart in pieces, but tell me about Hussein. He tells her about Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. al-Baneen returns to her home until she hears Zainab has returned to her home. Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam tells Sayyida Bibi Fidda, don't let anyone come. I don't want to have anyone visit us. I want to mourn alone until a knock. And she opens the door. Bibi Fidda sees it's none other than al-Baneen alayhi salam. Fidda says, let me go ask my lady Zainab. She says, don't let anyone. But how can I reject the family of Rasulullah? How can I reject you? You are from us, Ahlul Bayt. She says to Zainab, al-Baneen is there. Zainab stands up herself. She says, why didn't you say? She is a part of our masa'ib. Zainab runs to al-Baneen, calling out, Wa Abbasa. al-Baneen runs to Zainab. What does she call out? حسينا حسين حسين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Oh Allah, we ask you on behalf of baby Zainab alayhi salam to grant us her ziyarah in this dunya. Oh Allah, we ask you on behalf of Zainab al-Kubra to give us her shafa'ah in the akhirah. Oh Allah, we ask you never to separate from us the love of Ahlul Bayt, طرفة عين أبدا في الدنيا والآخرة يا Allah. Brothers and sisters, as we mourn tonight, let us remember those who have passed and remember those who are unwell by reciting the ayat all together. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. All together. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم اكشف السوء والبلاء عنا يا الله. اللهم المرضى المنظورين شافي وعافهم يا الله. اللهم ارزقنا زيارة السيدة الطاهرة زينب الكبرى يا الله وشفاعتها في الآخرة. اللهم عجل ثم عجل لوليك الفرج. إلى أرواح العلماء والشهداء سيما من أوصانا بالدعاء, and for all those who have requested. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة, but before it the loudest of your salawat. بسم الله. صراط المستقيم صراط الذين تقبل الله.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. घबराई है ज़ैनब, आया है मदीना, घबराई ना, आया है मदीना, घबरा आया है मदीना, घबराई है आया, लबरेज है गम से हर बीबी का सीना, घबराई है ज़ैनब, आया है मदीना, घबरा आया। एक साल गुजारा है जिंदान सितम में, दिन बाकी के गुजरेगी ज़ैनब इसी गम में, مقتل میں ہے اصغر زندہ میں سکینہ گھبرائے آیا ہے مدینہ گھبر آیا اے اہل مدینہ تم خاموش ہی رہنا زینب سے خدا را تو ایک لفظ نہ کہنا جو سانسیں بچی ہے کھو دے گی حزینہ گبر نہ بایا نہ گب یہ سوچ کے روتی ہوں بیمار ہے صغرا ہر فرد کے بارے میں اب پوچھے گی دکھیا ایسا نہ ہو سن کر مر جائے حزینہ گھبرا آیا ہے مدینہ گھبرا آیا ہے زینب کے خیالوں میں آواز یہ آئی محمل سے اتر کر جب فضا نے صدا دی دل تھام لو بی بی لو آیا مدینہ غبر آیا ہے مدینہ کب A short munajat with the wasila of Bibi Zainab. Let's all do together, inshallah, our du'as and everything will be kabul. Ya Rab, dua kabul ho Zainab ka wasta karbo bala ki sabira muztar ka wasta muztar ka wasta Ya Rab قبول ہو زینب کرب و بلا کی صابرہ مضطر کا واسطہ در در پھری بازاروں میں بے مکناؤ چادر بے مکناؤ چادر اس وارث تطہیر کی چادر کا واسطہ کربو کی صابرہ مضطر واسطہ مضطر یا رب دعا زینب کا واسطہ کر مضطر کا واسطہ مضطر دو لال کو نثار کیا راہ خدا میں کیا راہ خدا میں زینب کے دل کے داغوں کے نشتر کا واسطہ کربو صابرہ مضطر کا مزتر کا ستا یا رب قبول ہو کرب بلا کی صابرہ مزتر کا یا رب ہمیں اب شام کی زیارت نصیب ہو زیارت نصیب ہو مظلوم کربلا کے کٹے سر کا واسطہ کرب کی صابرہ تر کا واسطہ مزتر کا واسطہ یا رب دعا ناب کا واسطہ کرب بلا کی مزتر کا ہے شام میں پھر فوج یزیدی نے ہے گھیرا یزیدی نے ہے گھیرا یا رب انہیں نابود کر سکا کا واسطہ کرب بلا صابرہ مزتر کا واسطہ مزتر کا یا رب دعا قبول ہو زینب کا واسطہ کرب صابرہ مزتر کا واسطہ مزتر کا واسطہ توجہ زیارہ ہے
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين السلام عليك وعلى أخيك العباس وأختك الحوراء زينب السلام عليكم يا تسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان 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 فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا دليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا تمتعه فيها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين